Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 48. We are closing in on our 1 year birthday, and we're closing in on episode 50, and we've got some real cracking guests lined up over the next few weeks. And we have a returning guest with us today, who I will introduce you to very soon, to give us his the stuff he's working on at the moment and the kind of latest focus for him. But first of all, if I can just say hello to the usual co-hosts and the Health Oddity team. Hello, Mr. Peter Lant.
Hello, how are we doing? I've decided I'm going to change my name to Uncle Peter because of my hair, like Vic Reeves. Remember him?
Yeah, legend.
Uncle Peter who come over with that. I'm basing my new look on him.
Okay. Well, maybe Doc Emmett Brown from Back to the Future.
It's not grey yet, but I'm getting there.
And hello, Mr. Paul Bassett.
Hello. I had most of my parental kind of coaching from him because apparently you can't give baby booze.
Yeah, you can't give booze to baby. Yes.
There we go. And the guest that we have back was first with us way back on episode 12, which I think was around, I think Pete said it was around November last year that we first met this guy. And he's someone that I've known for a long time, Mr. James Breese. Say hello, James.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good to be back. I can't believe episode 40. It feels like yesterday you guys started this thing and everything. It's awesome.
No, it doesn't.
It really has flown by. And just for those of you, first of all, I'd recommend, if you haven't listened to episode 12, I know it was a while ago, but I would recommend you going back and listening to episode 12 with James. The first one he did, it was called Health Before Fitness, and you'll find it, just by scrolling back on whatever platform you're on. But we're going to kind of reference some of the things that he spoke about in his first episode, and we're going to move on from there. But I've known James for probably, it's got to be at least 10 years, I think, probably more than that. James runs Strength Matters. I've had a number of snowboarding holidays with James. He's a fantastic guy. He's incredibly knowledgeable. And I think it was down to Strength Matters that the three of us, Pete, Paul and myself, first met, I think.
Yeah.
Classic Kettlebell Fever t-shirt on for you guys today, especially. Back in the day.
Back in the Kettlebell Fever days, yeah.
I've got two Kettlebell Fever kettlebells in my living room just sitting down there.
I've got loads of Kettlebell Fever kettlebells and t-shirts.
They were bloody good.
I wish I'd have kept Kettlebell Fever up running, literally the kettlebells over the pandemic. We'd have sold out like ridiculous amounts.
I was gutted when you stopped doing them. I was like, where am I going to get them from now? Because they were like the best ones.
It's honestly, so many people have said that over the years now, and it's funny because the only reason we stopped was because, well, two reasons. One, my dad was like getting really pissed off and having to lug all the kettlebells from 8 kilos up to 92 kilo kettlebells all the time. And the second thing was all the other kettlebell companies cottoned on, so we couldn't compete with them. And the genuine reason was they, like Wolverson and like some other guys, they halved their kettlebell prices. So people are going, well, I can get the same kind of kettlebell for half the price. And people just didn't see the value of it. So it was a race to the bottom. We were like, nah, let's focus on content and stuff. So that's why we stopped. But the number of people do ask, and even today, I wish I still had some of them left over. I've got 132 kilo in my back garden. That's it.
I've still got all of mine. And also we had, don't worry, because we might get this sorted, because we had Chris Denning on, a guy called Chris Denning the other week. And if he ruled the world, his first thing would be to get rid of plastic kettlebells. So he's there. He's gonna make it happen.
Cool. So the first time we spoke, James was talking to us about the thing with Strength Matters and the thing with James's company. And I mean, I think I've got every single magazine ever produced, going right back to the Kettlebell Fever days, and I've still got all the ones now, and I've got his book and everything else. So the focuses on. Oh, he's got a whole wad of magazines. And he really focuses on what the term that James uses is the everyday athlete. So it's everyday people, and I think over 30 is the kind of the main kind of target demographic, if you like. But what we were talking about last time was this principle of 7-7-7, and it's something that many of my members have spoke to me about a lot, which was the idea that before you start doing anything else, before you really start trying to dig into the minutiae and get granular with the detail, you need to be doing some of the basics right. And we spoke about, aiming for a minimum of 7 hours sleep per night, 7 glasses of water per day, and walking 7,000 steps per day. And that was such a great, really simple kind of message, because I know that people, I can remember it, anyone can remember it, and it gives people a really good place to start. But what I think we'll do today, James, is kind of find out a little bit more about, this was obviously back in November, and I know you're constantly evolving and constantly moving forward with things. What's going on with Strength Matters at the moment, and what's your kind of focus with the content you're putting out and the coaching that you're doing with your members at the moment?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because it is always evolving. But you're right, the message we're really trying to focus on and just make it known for people is that we're helping people over 30, and not elite athletes, not super advanced things or anything at all, just everyday people, everyday athletes over 30. And most of the time, they're coming into fitness for the very first time. They're having like not a midlife crisis, but like a wake-up call in their mid-30s, going, oh shit, I need to do something about this because I'm getting older and I want to live around and enjoy the best times of my life that are yet to come. And it's aiming for those things. And the more I write for the magazine, Fit Over 30, the more I'm learning about things, the more I realize there's nothing out there in the fitness world that just caters for the complete beginner and showing them how to take the first step to the middle steps, not to advanced, just to middle steps and advanced. Whereas a lot of stuff out there, from powerlifting to, they're all talking about the complex, the super elite stuff. Well, that's for the less than 1% of people. Like, it's the main basic principles, the fundamentals of fitness, which not many people have. And it's not just strength training, it's cardio training. I guarantee you now, cardio is the biggest misunderstood concept out there, but it links to nutrition as well. Like, everyone wants to skip the basics. Like, WWS, prime example, that is the basics and fundamentals of human life. If you haven't got that, our philosophy is you haven't got much hope, because you can't stick to the real simplicities of human life. So why make things more complex? It's the same with anything else. So the more I write, I'll give an example. I just finished an article this morning for next month's magazine, which is an Ironman magazine. It's all about triathlons and how to take something from the very first step of doing an Ironman or a triathlon. And it's like, well, most people are now signing up for these big triathlons, these Olympic sprints, or even Ironman, have never done a triathlon before. And it's like, all, hang on a second, have you ever swum before in the sea? Have you ever done swimming? Like, can you swim? I think that's the thing I see a lot of. Somebody came to us the other week and said, hey, I want to do a triathlon. Okay, great. So how often, I've never swum before. Okay, you don't need a triathlon plan. You need to go find a swimming coach and learn how to swim in case you drown. That is your biggest life skill we can teach you right now, I think. So it's going back to that and realizing that no matter what we do, the more complex things are, it's about catering to make it as simple and as non-confusing as possible, because the world of health and fitness is so confusing right now. No matter what you do, and it's making it simple, the basics, the fundamentals. Like with any sports, I'm doing a lot of cricket coaching at the moment. I've been coached myself from cricket, playing a lot of cricket. My coach is 72 years old. He's been there, he's been at the highest levels, right? But he takes me back to the fundamentals. Look at ball, hit ball, right? Like hands in right position, head down, little things like that. Not these reverse sweeps or like these crazy shots you see in the international stage. It's like the basics. Can you do them first? It's the same when it comes here. So it's hammering home the basics with people, focusing on that, and just coming to the realization that sadly when people come to you for the first time, for everyday people over 30, they want one of two things: fat loss or muscle building, or sometimes both. All right, that is the performance-related people tend to go try and do their own thing for a long time until they break down and get injured. But fat loss is the biggest driver. Everyone wants to know the secrets to fat loss. It's not really that secret anymore. Like, everyone should know it, but it's just the case of applying it or knowing which steps to take first. And everyone wants to build lean muscle because they want to look good for the beach, you know. And that's where we're at really right now. It's like really honing our fat loss programs and protocols for everyday people, because we know there's two branches to take with people now when it comes in for fat loss, and it usually links to diet and nutrition, and it's knowing which branch to take depending on the mindset of the person who comes with us, because there are two very distinct types we can work with from there.
Excellent. I mean, I'm wearing a Polar heart rate monitor, which when I read your book, I think Maximum Aerobic Power, and you reference a lot of Phil Maffetone and that sort of thing, and the importance of building a broad aerobic base. And we've had Brad Kearns on a few times, awesome. who works with Mark Sissons, and in the kind of endurance world and primal endurance and that sort of thing. So that's really changed things for me, having when I'm doing my steady state kind of cardio and at the MAF sort of level. So you reference there sort of two channels that you find that people want to, that you could take people down. But I suppose the first thing, do people actually use the terms with you, fat loss and muscle building, or do people tend to use, because we tend to hear obviously weight loss and toning up or something is what the kind of the general public would kind of use if they come to you or something. I want to lose weight and I want to tone up,
That's 100%. We get the same sort of thing. I just kind of paraphrase it a little bit to fat loss. People say I want to lose weight. The older they are, they want to say I want to feel healthier. As you say, which kind of goes back to fat loss a little bit in tying into here, but it is interesting. Like it's the weight loss side of things, the fat loss, the toning up comes a byproduct of all that sort of stuff that people really are coming for now most of the time. We do get I'd say 80% of our people are to lose weight and get stronger. That's 80% of the people. But then we do get performance related people coming to us as well. But it's very few and far between who are performance related, because a lot of performance related people, well, we're not trying to aim for them. I think that's not our target market. We either push them elsewhere or they specifically want to work with us. But yeah, weight loss is an interesting thing.
Were you looking to, did you have multiple different strands that you were pushing before, and then you just realized that most people were attracted to those two areas, and therefore you just, moved your focus? Or how did it evolve to that?
Yeah, no, 100%. So we get over the years, you just try and refine your message. And I wanted to go back. I went away from PT kind of coaching courses and stuff like that. Not never going to do it again. But the point was, we moved away to stuff I enjoyed doing and helping people and getting back to helping people. And it was the same message all the time. It was always people over 30, and they always needed to lose weight. Pretty much everybody needed to lose weight and body fat. And they all need to get stronger, become more mobile and stuff like that. But we try to refine the message. So not everyone comes to us want to be more mobile. We know they need mobility, but they don't necessarily ask for it. But it was the more listening to the people asking us questions. And it was literally a case, I just need to lose weight, tone up, get a bit stronger. I was like, okay. We can do that to help you live better. So our tagline now is that we help people over 30 lose weight, get stronger, live better, because that's essentially what we do in a nutshell. But it just came over the years, just listening to people and asking the right questions and looking back at all the PDFs of the online type forms we had people fill out as questionnaires, and it came into us basically.
Messaging is quite important, isn't it? I mean, one thing that you talked about was confusion, and it's quite easy as a trainer to be very technical. It's also, one of the reasons everything's so confusing is that there are so many terms and so many approaches out there, and so when you have clarity of messaging, you can obviously underneath that, just like the iceberg, with the tip of the iceberg, you can have that more nuanced approach. I mean, I have a 28-day program. Do I think everyone can reach their entire goals in 28 days? Of course I don't, but it does allow people to kind of create a mental framework to start building upon. And it sounds like you've done the same. So you've got these central tenets of fat loss and hypertrophy, and then underneath that, I suspect you're giving them what they want and quite a bit of what they need as well.
Yeah, very much so. What they want, what they need is two very different things half the time. It really, really is. So you've got to give them a little bit to make them hook them onto you and keep them with you. But at the same time, they need a lot of stuff they don't need, like mobility or whatever it is. It could be anything. Heart work. Look, when I say heart work, what I mean? I'm not necessarily, opening up the heart and stuff, but cardio work. I mean, in that sort of sense. But yeah, but it's there is so much confusion. You hit the nail on the head there. There's so many different ways to skin a cat. There's so many different ways to approach things. And that's why you go back to the WWS. It's walk, water, sleep, 777 rule. we can all pretty much agree on that. We all need to walk more, move blood, move lymph. We all need to drink water. If not, we die. And similar to sleep. If we don't sleep, we die. In a nutshell. So out of everything in fitness, I think we can all fundamentally agree. Okay, we may disagree on how much of each thing you need to do, and that's okay. That's why 7,000 is a little moderate and like baseline. We didn't need to go more or less. Baseline moderate to be as agnostic as possible in the sense of when it comes to this sort of stuff. But as a baseline. So we can all agree on that. And then when we have these basics in place, then we can start to explore certain things. Now, let's just take fat loss. One of the, without a doubt, nutrition plays the most important part when it comes to fat loss, in my opinion. Now, some people will disagree with me, and that's okay, right? That's the beauty of it. But what I've seen now is you get the nutrition bit right first and foremost. People will lose weight. I can give a case in point with my dad recently, who 2 months ago got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. He's needed to kick up his arse for a long time to go and lose some weight, but he wasn't in the right mindset. Partly due, he had bowel cancer 15 years ago. He's had 14 major operations ever since that day, and he's gone from being an active farmer to being really sedentary. And it's my aunt, who's kind of like mother to him as well, died of type 1 diabetes 4 months prior. So that together was a real kick up in the arse for him. He weighed in at 17 stone 2. So what's that? Got 130 kilos, something like that. A while ago. He weighed in this morning, because I checked in with him now every day, at 15 stone 2. Just literally 2 stone in just under 2 months. And he's just made little changes to his diet and food. The thing that we found with him was, no one had any idea what he was doing, was he was having 8 to 10 cups of instant coffee a day. Why you drink instant coffee that many times a day, I have no idea why. Not with teaspoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of sugar in his coffee every day. Now, I figured that was about 1,200 calories alone in sugar, right? And so the first thing we did was we just took that out. That's all we did. Miraculously, his blood's getting better and he's losing weight. That's like literally 8,000 calories a week we've cut out from his day-to-day life. But the point is, I can't remember my point, but I kind of digress here. But that's great. It goes to the point of weight loss. For us, it does come down to nutrition, and it comes down to the basics. But also getting people, particularly over 30, to a point where they're ready to handle fat loss workouts. Now, what I mean by that is if you really want to maximize your fat loss gains, because it's bloody hard. Losing fat and body fat and weight is bloody hard, right? When it comes to the workout side of things. And to do it, we kind of call it the 4 horsemen. You need to do strength training. You need to do alactic anaerobic stuff. You need to do some form of metabolic conditioning, and you need to do some form of low intensity cardio. It's the 4 horsemen, as we call it, right? Hard alactic anaerobic stuff is freaking hard. It's the shitty shit that you want to spew up at the end of the day, right? Heavy strength training, it's going to be hard work. You need time to recover. People need to be prepared to be able to handle that sort of stuff first and foremost, because if their body's not right, their mindset's not right, it's going to be harder to lose weight in the long term. So when we talk about fat loss now, we go, okay, well, is this person fit and ready and able and mobile enough to handle the complexity of this type of training long term to maximize their fat loss results? Yes or no? If it's a no, then we have this conversation with them, say, look, let's focus on the diet maybe, and let's just maintain the strength and mobility and get you to a place to where you can get to. It may take 3, 4, 6 months to get ready for that fat loss thing, but I promise you, you will lose weight faster when everything's in a good place and you're ready to go. We did a case study, Jerome Westra from the Netherlands. Like, he was a good case study. He was 6 months in pain, and we didn't do any fat loss. He didn't lose any weight in 6 months. We said, look, stick with us. We need to get you out of pain, get you moving better first, and then we'll go to weight loss. Then the final 4 months, between August, September, October, November, literally 4.5 months, he dropped 22 kilos, right? Because he was ready to do the hard training. He had his nutrition dialed down from this basic work we've been doing beforehand, and then boom, we could attack it. So I think I've gone off a little
Is that where the
tangent.
fork in the road is? You said you've got kind of a two-pronged sort of approach is that the fork in the road where you separate people if they're ready to kind of take on training initially, they'll go down one path, and if they're not, they'll go down the other path. Is that?
Well, it's almost like two to begin with. So like the first one, the first thing we check is WWS in check? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, so assume it is. Great. Next fork, it's going to be the nutrition question. We need to have this nutrition conversation. So this is where the fork starts to happen and comes back in. Does that make sense? Like here to come here. So like first question is, okay, does this person see nutrition and calories as data, or are they scared shitless of the scales and scared shitless of counting calories? Or that's very crude way of saying it, but it's two ways. Like you got people who love the data and love tracking, and you got the people who do not want to track and scared about stepping on the scales and going here. The approach we take with both of those is very, very different. You're not going to get the people who don't like counting to count calories. In any way, that becomes habit-based, it becomes more intuitive, and there's other means to do it. So that's the first fork.
So
where do we go?
This through a platform that has preset stuff, or is it very much a one-to-one relationship?
That's a one-to-one relationship. So when it comes to the initial consultation call, when we work with people, we're asking them these questions right at the start. Look, if they're fat loss, that is, and we start having the conversation. Have you, tell me about your nutrition. What have you done in the past? What's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? Have you tried counting calories? And then we get a gist of how things work with people. So a lot of people who do. Now, the best results we get are the ones who people we track with. They're the ones who get the results the fastest. They're the ones who see it as data and are not so emotionally involved with what's going on. Yeah. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong. But we just see they're more specific and clinical with their.
It takes the randomness out of it. I mean, like I was talking to a client today about stuff, and there's like you manage projects, don't you? So you're planning, you're doing the details, and then you're executing the project based on the prep work you've done, but you're not doing that at all with your diet, and you're getting a total random result. So it's kind of not surprising that people who plan and prep and play with the data have a much more predictable outcome than those that don't.
It is. This is what we see, and that's what we try and we know we can get the best results the fastest if we push down that line, but we're never going to push somebody down it because they've had a really bad experience. We need to earn their trust, and maybe later when we've got some results, work it here. But it's how we work it in the first instance. So that's the first question. So which way are we going to go? Okay, we know it's going to be nutrition based. After WWS comes first. Then it's nutrition. Which fork do we go down? Then we come back in the middle and go, is this person ready, fit, and able to handle fat loss workouts? Yes, it's a simple yes or no. And that means through our testing, through our layer system testing, like if most of the time it's a no. So we know we need to do a lot of like general strength training, full body movements, a lot of mobility work, getting their body prepared to handle hard fat loss workouts. And that's the difference, because fat loss is hard. It's you need high motivation, because you're gonna have times when your energy sucks. You want to eat that pizza or whatever you're gonna do. You need to have strong willpower. So you've got to get somebody in the right mindset to get them to do the fat loss workout, and that's where it all comes in. Tying is where does everything come first? So it's that sort of branch we're doing now, is going, where are they at in that initial stage, and great, and then we can move forward. But like the entire time, we remain nutritionally agnostic. I think that's the best word to put it. We do not prescribe to any one type of diet. It's about finding the right diet that works for you, but we try and start in the middle. So if you imagine that you've got the carnivore diet on one side, you've got veganism on the other side. Right, so you got the two here. We want to start in the middle, and it usually starts with, let's take the approach when we're tracking calories, because it's the one we've really nailed down recently and got it right. Always, we just want people to track for the first month. First 4 weeks, they're tracking to see where they're at. What we see most of the time is that most men chronically overeat, most women chronically undereat. Okay, for where they should be, where we can guesstimate and work out what their calorie maintenance is.
Are they tracking on something like MyFitnessPal or
MyFitnessPal?
Yeah.
So it's super easy, But for people out there listening, going, I'm scared of tracking calories. Don't worry, I'll get to you guys in a second. Right?
James, can I just ask? just through the people that come to you, I would imagine that people certainly people with a maybe who are kind of quite overweight, maybe they've been overweight for a long time. I'd imagine that most of them would fall into the camp where they're almost kind of emotionally driven with food, and they're probably anti-tracking.
Yeah.
Do you find that I know you probably get the quickest and the best results with people who are a bit more methodical and logical about it, but would you say in terms of the numbers, more people who come to you are the kind of the anti-tracking habit-based people?
Yeah, 100%. I'd say 60-40 in the sense of like anti-tracking. But if you take somebody who's like obese, and if I use the obese term as, the BMI over 30, as a very simplistic way to do it, just by doing WWS, walking more, drinking more water and sleeping more, you tend to lose weight. And I'm not going to ask somebody to step on a scale like if we can see what's in front of us already, because it's going to make them feel even worse. And that's the last thing I want to do. A lot of trainers and coaches, not saying you guys, because we're all part of the same inner circle and like this secret club of like good trainers, I like to think of ourselves, right? Who kind of been around the world and know it. But there's a lot of people with fat shaming. There's a lot of in the gyms and stuff like that. You see, it's horrendous. It's a shit show. I think it's the best way to put it. I think the fitness industry is horrible most of the time. But for the people who are like that, who don't worry about that. There's other ways to do it, and it starts with walking more, drinking more water, and you naturally start to feel better and make better food choices. It's the psychology.
I think people know that that's probably the right way to do it, but then when they're faced with someone saying, "Well, we can take a global overview, we can track these things, we can work on the basic thing." Oh, is that fitness?
Yeah.
Like you say, it goes back to that confusion around what is the best method of getting fit.
So it comes back to the nutrition side. Again, when we're talking about fat loss, we've got to talk about nutrition. I'm really sorry that people, a lot of people, I bought into it at some point, and I tried so many times to like realize that, hey, I can try and, I can out-train my diet. I can try and do it. No, I just got fat. And that's the best way to put it.
I'll be honest, we do the A12, and that's a very, very focused program. But I know the people who do the diet, and I know people who don't. And you're training 5 days a week on that program with barbells.
It's a great program. It really is. It really works really, really well. And again, it does come down to diet. But like so when we see people now, so go back to this whole carnivore veganism, right? I always use these two examples because they are the two extremes of the dieting world. And like, it's easier to change somebody's religion than it is to change somebody's diet sometimes. I think that's the best way to put it. Right. But anyway, we start from the middle.
People don't talk about it, politics, religion, and now it's diets. It steer well clear of all of that.
Yep.
So keep listening.
No, it really is literally my dinner conversation rules are politics, religion, guns, US politics, diet, and kettlebells. Those are my 6 things that I do not, I just stay out of the world of like conversations with. Like,
that's probably why I have no friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, I'm well into it.
But I mean, it's just comedy. But go back to this middle bit here. So like, what we can all agree on is that, okay, so this is what we see, and I think a lot of people see the same thing. Most guys are overeating, most women are undereating. The way you handle those two is very different. We'll get to that in a second. But the point is, in the middle, is that, okay, well, let's start with a balanced macronutrient table of proteins, carbs, and fats, and fiber, if you want to include fiber as well. So we start off in the middle. So, okay, what's just a good starting point to do? Protein needs to be high, probably 3-4 times more than what people are already eating, sometimes 10 times higher, right, than what they need to be. Now, carbs and fats are basically the same thing. It sounds ridiculous, but it's almost the same thing. It's just you want to find your balance. And that's the difference between keto and like high carb. You're just manipulating the carbs and fats. Protein is going to be high, whether it's vegan protein, which I eat a lot of, by the way, because I'm intolerant to dairy, or you're just manipulating the carbs and fats to find the right balance for you. Now, some people will do really well with higher carbohydrates. Some people will do really badly with higher carb. I do really badly with high carbs. I had a pizza on the European Cup final of the week, and like I put on 2.5 kilos in 2 days because of water retention from that pizza. And I know, I just wear it. I go, I don't care, but I'm going to do it. It'll take about 1.5 weeks to come off, but that's just how I react to carbohydrates. Whereas other people are fine. So I have to have more fats in my diet than carbs. But we start off in the middle, like a good baseline. Is this working for you? Are you losing weight like this? Yes or no? Great, you are. Most of the time, people are. They're eating the right amount of calories. They're eating in a good balance. Okay, cool. Then when you've mastered what we call your maintenance calories, okay, which we want to work, because most people have no idea how many calories they need to stay at the same level. No idea. You know, they all go, yeah, I need to eat 1,200 calories to lose weight. Do you? How many calories do you need to eat to stay the same? All right, and they will not be able to tell you that, left, right, or center. So you get a track for a month. Say again?
How are you working that one out? Do you have a particular formula?
Well, we got a lot of data, like as in calculators, spreadsheets we've used over time to create the data behind it. But you can't beat trial and error. I think we can guesstimate the amount of calories they need, but this is why we get people to track for a month. We want to see how much they're eating over a course of a month. Have they lost weight? Have they gained weight? And usually, you know, we get a rough idea. We don't tell them anything. We just say, just track, and then we'll pull in the data into our coaching system, and we'll have a look at it. And have they lost weight? Have they gained weight? What is going on here? What is their average per week, per daily allowance? And that's the first thing, because we want to see what their maintenance is. What is their maintenance? Because it's a longer approach, but the quicker we can find your maintenance, the quicker we can find your deficit. Okay? Right? And this is for people who are overeating, by the way. Okay? Most women who are undereating, different ballgame altogether, right? And this is also for normal people. We like in the sense of like people whose metabolisms are fairly normal. I think is the best way to put it. But that's what we start off here. That's the key thing that we discovered: is find out your maintenance. Then we start playing around with macros, but then we just want to see are you maintaining weight, which some people are scared about because they want to see instant results. It's the snowball effect. Take your time to work on maintenance, and then the results will get faster, and you'll always know then in the long term what you need to do to cut, and vice versa. But when it comes to, like, let's take most women who are undereating, right? We want to see their maintenance, and we do the 4-week thing as well. The hardest conversation we have to a lot of people who are trying to lose weight is to try and get them to eat more calories, right? To allow them. So, example, 2 weeks ago, somebody came into us. We calculated their TD to be like total daily expenditure, for those that don't know, to be 1,850 calories, right? That was their maintenance level we calculated based on our fancy calculations to be. They were eating 1,150 on average, and they had done so for years. And we know that because they tracked for years, right? So guess what happened when we asked them to put on eat 1,300 to 1,400 calories? They put on an extra couple of pounds each week, right? So, because their body becomes so used to this level of calories, their body adapted to it, that we had to keep reassuring it's okay. Just stick with us here now. It's okay. Yes, we'll dial it down a little bit. It took us 6 months, right, for most people to get them back up to a normal eating level of calories, right, before we can even talk diets, because they're already in a calorie deficit to what they should be eating. And it's nothing more miserable than if you're eating 1,100 calories a day. Well, okay, maybe if you take down to 600 calories a day. That is just shit. Right? And it works. So it's a different ballgame how we do, but I think I've gone off on a massive tangent here now, but this is where we're really dialing our work on at the moment. Is like, well, look, nutrition is important, get into maintenance, work around this sort of level here, and then we adjust accordingly, but think for the long term, and then work out are their bodies ready and able to handle fitness? Because if not, doing the diet and not being ready to handle a hard fat loss program is a recipe for disaster. They implode, they don't lose weight, they walk away even more frustrated than ever before.
I like this idea of data-led training because I think it's quite easy to have your own kind of, I mean, a lot of people, we've talked about narratives, people have an idea of what they think is working or what they think is contributing to it. And it often becomes this kind of personal truth thing. And actually, sometimes the data can be quite stark. It can be quite revealing, and it can tell you whether or not you're being honest with yourself. And I think a lot of, and I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this. When people come face to face with the reality of the data, and it goes against what they believe is happening, how do people react? do they have light bulb moments, or is there denial, or is it a sense that like something else? I mean, because it's, data doesn't often lie as long as they're recording things correctly.
Yeah, well,
you have to trust that they are, I suppose.
Exactly. Data doesn't lie, and you've got to realize that data is more important than feelings sometimes. And it depends how you communicate it with them. You can't tell them, "Oh, you fat," you've got to do this. You can just say to them, "Hey, look, this is what we're seeing," but it's your bedside manner how you communicate to them here. But sometimes we always take the honest approach and realizing that you've got to work out the person in front of you. Like I work with quite a few military guys, so I can tell them bluntly because they respond better to blunt, upfront. Honestly, hey mate, you're being a fat this week, right? Sort your shit out. I won't say that to Grandma Betty, who is like, hey, look, well done this week, but try next week to do something else. It's about having a bit. We still want to communicate the truth. I think that the truth isn't the most important thing, but it's how you deliver the truth to the people that's the most important. Now, just going back to data. One of the most important data facts that I've discovered and use now in any conversation, particularly when I'm working something for the first time, is, and I learned this from Andrew Reid, and one of his mates did this a while ago, was you take your height in centimeters. This is for men, first of all. Height in centimeters minus 100, and that should be around what your ideal weight is. Now, bear with me on this, right? -5 is for the elite athletes who are more endurance-based. +5 is for the power-based guys like wrestlers, crossfitters, stuff like that. You go online, you will find some outliers. You put in some of the biggest names in fitness, right, and sports and athletes. This is for athletes, okay, not powerlifters. Sorry, powerlifters. I'm not going to shit all over you guys again, but I quite enjoy it. Right?
Proper athletes.
Proper athletes, right? Proper athletes. You go in there and you'll do it and you'll see it's so uncanny. You'll see all your best tennis players, football players, soccer players, football players, whatever you want to call it. They all fit into this kind of mold. Like rugby, particularly for like halfbacks, and in the back, the front row, not so much because it's an outlier. It's a very different position, right? Same with NFL linemen. It's a very different contact type sport. But if you take the runners, cyclists, they all fit into this category. Height in centimeters, -100 for men, ±5. Minus is more for the endurance thing. +5 is for more the power-based sports, and they all fit into that category. For women, it's -110. Okay? So straight away with a conversation where someone comes to me now, and they'll say to me, hey, I don't think I need to lose weight. I'm in a good position. I'm here. Okay, cool. Out of interest, how tall are you? Okay, so you're 180 centimeters. How much do you weigh? 96 kilos. Okay, so in my head, instantly, I'm not telling them this, but I'm instantly going, they're about 16 kilos overweight. Are you with me? So it becomes the conversation here, and I'm not telling people this, until we get to know them better, but I already know this. It was interesting to me, when I started, because I looked at me particularly for cricket, because I'm still playing cricket at a pretty semi-professional level. I'm one of the oldest guys in the team, and then when I did it to me, I'm 173 centimeters, and about 2 months ago I realized I'm 75 kilos. Most international cricketers are more the -5, right, side of things. So my goal was to get down to about 71, 70. So I'm now at 72 today. But it was a case of okay, well, I want to get down to about 71 because I know other elite cricketers are around that kind of level. So I need to maintain and prolong my career that way. So again, a bit of a tangent, but it's something that we use in-house really well to distinguish and have this conversation of where people are at. Some people you can tell the information to. Other people will get really butthurt and they won't like it. But if someone comes to us and they say, hey, I want to get better at running. Okay, cool. What's your weight? What's your height? Okay, I'm 180 centimeters. I weigh 102 kilos. Well, look, no matter what running program we're going to give you, you need to lose weight. Simple as that. It's as simple as that because elite runners are around 75 kilos. If I'm looking at those sort of numbers, it just helps. It puts things in perspective to help people. And time after time again, you get people coming to us as well. Not just they want fat loss, but there's other people come to us who want performance-related goals. But the best performance-related goal I can give them is fat loss. They just don't realize it yet.
Yeah.
I also like I know you're obviously aware of the Dan John one with the waist being less than half your height.
Yep.
Again, it's just I like that because it's just totally, it's straightforward, it's easy. It's like what you said with your calculation there. You can take someone's height, you can take their waist, you can very clearly explain, well, we want this to be around half, and for a lot of people, then you can say, well, it's about 4 centimeters or 5 centimeters, and it just gives you a nice place to start, and it does it takes the emotion out of it, doesn't it? It takes because it's like that, like you say, it's that data, which is very, very, very clear.
It is, and that thing's come from thousands of data points. Some data analysts did all that, and we use waist to height ratio as well. It's our, waist to height ratio is one of our most important things we use to help people run. If it's over 0.5, we suggest to people that they shouldn't be running because the impact on their joints is going to be too high. Like it's such a good tool, that is the waist to height ratio. But it comes down to, if we're talking about performance, I'll definitely want to use those numbers and have that conversation with people. If I'm talking about health for people, I'd like to see them around 100 minus, the height and centimeters minus 100 or 110 for women, and the +5. Like, if they're 180 and they weigh 85 kilos, as far as I'm concerned, that's in healthy ranges. All right, that's in healthy ranges. Doesn't mean they're going to be performing their highest, but it just means they're in potentially healthy ranges. And it works better than BMI or anything like that at all. It just gives a better indicator for us and how we do things. So, but it's true. Again, we go back to the starting when we started, like fat loss. We say fat loss because a lot of people need fat loss, but the people who come to us for performance, they need fat loss. It's like they want to run better and they're carrying 18% body fat. Until we get down towards 12%, we're not in the ballpark here. It impacts you that much. That's why professional footballers are monitored to the nth degree to have below 10% body fat. Injury risk, performance related. Horse racing is the key of it. Horse racing that looks at it all as well, the nth degree, stuff like that. So I've kind of gone off on one there a little bit. But it's...
I was going to say, so the data is fascinating, and you've got all the data that you use for people who are kind of pro tracking and they're kind of logical. And it reminds me, we had a guy called Chris Zaremba on a few weeks ago who went from being obese to kind of a fitness model, doing the stuff on stage. And he was a spreadsheet kind of guy, and he tracked everything to the nth degree, loved his spreadsheets, and it was fascinating. And he was in computer programming, so it was great for him. But for the majority of people, like you say, maybe the 60% of people who come to you who are sort of averse to tracking and they've got more emotional stuff going on, what route do you take them on to begin with?
So it's a great question, because I love the data. I'm a data person. I love the data. I can chat about it for hours. Like I geek out on this sort of stuff, if that makes sense. Like, I can geek out with you guys for sort of sense. So when it comes to people who don't like to track here, first thing is like, well, look, where are they at? Where are they at in their career? Do they have a BMI of over 30? If so, then we ain't going to track, not for a while, not for a year. We want to get them moving. We want them to feeling good about themselves. Because right now, we don't need to tell them they feel like crap, because they already feel like crap and they know they feel like crap. It's the last thing we need to do with people, in that terms. We want to help them get into their first step. What's their first step on the fitness ladder? So, WWS, are they walking, water, sleeping? That's the starting point here. Great. Okay, let's increase this a little bit. Let's start going a bit more and doing more of it. Walking more. Walking is probably more important than the exercise part. Let's get them exercising. Okay, let's start people exercising more. Let's get a habit and a routine of exercising maybe 2, 3, 4 times a week if they're lucky, and start from there. And when they start to feel better about themselves, then we can have a food conversation, right? And there's multiple ways you can do this. One of the ones that we like to do is to say, hey, daily task, take a picture of every piece of food that passes your mouth over the course of this week. Just do me a favor, just take a quick photo on your phone, upload it here so we can see what's going on and see what happens. Again, 9 times out of 10, you'll see beige. Like, it is beige. You'll see convenience food bought from like any shop, like even garages, petrol stations, things out of packets. It's all processed food that isn't very colourful. So when it comes to things like this, like, yes, we know calories in, calories out matter. That is the be all and end all. But quality of food matters too. So we can start them off on the quality of the food they're eating and find some fun ways and habits to get people into right routine. So it's, I think taking food pictures works really well as a starting point for a lot of people. Not everybody, but it's a good starting point here. So it's a case of like, okay, well, look, we're not going to count calories, even though we know it's important. So we're going to focus on the other thing that's really important, which is the quality of the food that you have. What are you eating for food? Okay, I'm getting my protein from sausages. Okay, can we change your sausages to maybe chicken or turkey breast or something along those lines? It's just changing their ways and thinking and giving the freedom of thought to go, actually, I don't have to buy those sandwiches from Tesco's or Marks and Spencer's. Right? I can go home and cook some really good lean meat or something along those lines, or whatever it is. We find ways to find simple ways to improve the quality of the food that they're consuming, and it starts from there. And when they get comfortable with that, then we lead them on to the next step. Well, how much are you eating? It comes the precision nutrition style of like palm size, thumb size, fist size of types of food. But we go back to the calorie counting for a second. I don't want everybody counting calories for the rest of their life. Like, I just want you to know the basics of how that works. So you can go away from tracking and then you can do whatever you want. But if you go, I need to lose a couple of kilos, I put a couple of kilos on, you'd always have that skill in your locker to pull out and go, right, I know my baseline is 2,800, and I know if I pull down to 2,100 and do this for a couple of weeks, I'll drop a couple of kilos. You have that skill to pull out whenever you want to. So it's easy to maintain your weight long term once you have that skill in place. But then you want to wean people off it into the more habit-based first anyway. So when we go counting calories, we take them into habit-based afterwards. Or if we go to habit-based first, we kind of want to go into the counting calories after that. So we're still leading back to the same sort of methods each time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we had Josh Hillis on actually a while ago, who I know you know Josh obviously, and we had the lean and strong, and it's quite interesting that so for the people who don't like to track, I suppose you're using more, or you're not using it more, you're using a different kind of coaching skill set, aren't you, with those people, where it's a lot more nuanced and a lot kind of softer and a lot more, like you say, habit-based and emotive and kind of coaxing behaviors. And he talks a lot obviously about eating skills and behavior practice and that sort of thing. And then the other side is still coaching and it's still skill based, but it's far more, like you say, the numbers and the metrics and the data and that's fantastic. And like you say, then you're moving from the kind of habit based into the metrics and the data, or from the data into the habits. So,
exactly, because you got to live. Like, that's the most important thing. Like, food is such a social event and such a fun thing to be a part of. Like, you want to be a part of this fun stuff and enjoy everything that life has to offer. Like I said, I'm intolerant to dairy and I don't do well with carbs. So I've bought this really dirty pizza from the Big Square Pizza Company in Cardiff because it tastes so bloody good, but it's such a dirty pizza. It's not the finest Italian thing you'll ever have. It was a great thing to eat in France. So I ate it. But I just know that for the next few days, I will put on weight, 2.5 kilos in my case, and I will retain water. But what I do the following days afterwards is I just make sure I'm eating, I'd say healthier, but more cleaner, like more lean meats, less processed carbohydrates, like just stick to porridge oats, and some good potatoes, sweet potatoes, something like that, and leaner protein like tuna, fish, turkey. And by the end of the week, I'm back to normal again. It's having that realization, because you shouldn't deprive yourself of food. So that's like, it's too much. Life's too much fun to enjoy.
And I was going to wonder, we've obviously looked at we've been talking about the kind of diet and nutrition side of the equation for the fat loss. You did obviously mention and touch on the kind of the training side, and you said people have to be, ready physically and emotionally, and with their kind of commitment level to kind of then go into the training. But can we touch on some of those sort of elements of training that you would work on people through your sort of fat loss protocols and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So the first thing we want to get people to be is they need to be strong enough, and they need to have a good cardio base. I think that's the first most important thing. If they're not strong enough, then no matter how much strength training, well, it's going to improve them, but it's not going to maximize their fat loss results. We want to be in a fat loss phase for as little as possible. We don't want to be in a fat loss phase for like 2 years. That's going to suck, right? Maybe in some cases we want to be, so we're going to be strong enough. So when I say strong enough, good simple guidelines is, can a man deadlift 1.5 times his body weight for 5 reps? Not a huge amount of times. And for females, 1.25. That's a good starting point. Can they? We do the functional capacity test, so can they carry half their body weight, 3/4 of their body weight, sorry, for 90 seconds in split over 2 hands. So do they have that basic strength to do these things? If not, then we need to work them towards it. Now it'll help them lose weight as well because they're getting stronger, building muscle. But to go to a real hardcore fat loss plan, you need to have basic strength so we can really dive into using all these strength reserves essentially. And also when it comes to cardio, if we haven't got a baseline cardio, you're not going to recover fast enough. You simply will not recover fast enough, and you're going to feel like crap, and it's not going to last very long. So we need a strong cardio base for your ability to recover faster, because when we go into that fat loss phase, I talk about the 4 horsemen. You want heavy strength training, right? I'm talking heavy, like you're going to failure a lot of the times. You're mixing muscle sets between 12 reps down to 3 to 5 reps, depending on how you plan it out. So you want to be heavy. You want to do some kind of metabolic conditioning, metcons, which will involve kettlebell complexes. It could involve like an assault bike followed by push-ups, followed by whatever it is, right? Some kind of metabolic thing. So those are the 2 things here. You then need to do low intensity cardio. There's a 4th one I've missed out here. What have I missed out? Anaerobic, metabolic, strength training, cardio. There we go. Right. So those are the 4 ones. Anaerobic, alactic type, really hardcore sprints. Think of sprints, right? You need to be ready for that. But is your body prepared and ready for that? Alactic, shit. Metabolic conditioning, and low intensity cardio. That's hard work. That is really hard work. If you don't do a really hard, intense session that lasts for 45 minutes and do max strength finished by heavy sprints at the end, it sucks. It really sucks. And if your body's not robust enough, you're going to break down. And it follows the training cycle of getting injured and off, injured off, injured off, all the way around. So that's the key thing, is like, well, get yourself strong enough, get yourself cardiovascularly fit enough before you dive into the actual strength training side of things and the hard stuff. Now,
do you find that if you start correcting some of the kind of the low-hanging fruit, if you like, early on, and people, they're upping their water, they're upping their steps, they're upping their sleep, they're getting stronger, they're moving more, they're starting to eliminate more of the kind of the overly processed kind of hyperpalatable foods, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
By the time you actually come to enter kind of like a fat loss phase, I'd imagine they've made considerable progress by the time they even get there, haven't they?
Exactly. That's a good way to think about it as well. So like, I'll give you just plain examples. So everyone wants to know what the elite are doing, here now. So as far as most people who come to us, and I'm sure most people you guys will work with, and most people out there will have a body fat percentage of over 20%, right? Over 20% is a beginner when it comes to fat loss, like as far as I'm concerned, right? Because what we know from the data is that healthy ranges are between 10 and 20%, okay, depending on where you want to sit. For men, women it's 20 to 30, or 22 to 30, I think it is, one of the 2. So we're over 20%. We do anything when it comes to diet, nutrition, fitness, movement, exercise, doing more, you're going to get down to probably around 15, 16%, right? Now, when we get down to 15% body fat, things change. It's going to be a lot harder. Some people will find it easy to get down to, like, say, 12, 13%. Other people are going to find it bloody hard. And this is where the hard training comes in. So if you want to, these 4 horsemen apply really for men who are under literally 15% body fat or under. And for women, you're talking more like under 25%. And that's all. But the rest of the time, you're doing basic.
I think when we were talking earlier, I can envisage quite a few of our listeners and quite a few of the people that I kind of know maybe getting a bit scared, when you're saying about, this is hard training to get the fat loss and blah, blah, blah. But when I'm thinking of a lot of people, they may be, like you say, 30%, 40% body plus. So the fat loss for them is not, doesn't require such hard work, does it? But when you just clarified there and you said, actually, so really what you're talking about is getting lean, isn't it?
Yeah.
And getting lean from, say, 15% down, which is, more like a kind of athletic kind of level of lean, rather than an everyday person. If someone's 40% now and they get to 20%, they can probably get to 20% fairly, moderately, without the kind of hard work and the rest of it.
Yeah, with basic dietary intervention and just training consistently. And again, I don't believe that most people over 30 should train to exhaustion or to extremes, because they got life. It's like you're talking like life, kids, work, hobbies, other fun stuff. Like, so we haven't got the time or the energy resources to put into everything like this. And like I said, to get somebody down to sub 10% body fat or sub 15% body fat for women, it's commitment, it's hard work, it's extreme fitness. Okay. Whereas to get somebody down below 25% for women, I think it's a really easy, manageable goal that everybody can achieve. And likewise for men, to get down to about 15%, I think anybody can achieve that as well. And it doesn't have to be. It means just being consistent and working within the 80% type of rule and being consistent over time. And you can get there really easy. But it's for those who want to get lean. That's why I talk about the 4 horsemen. That's the different level again and where people want to get to. But strength train, do some cardio training. If you want to do a bit of HIIT and you want to enjoy it, do a bit of HIIT. That's cool by me. Just don't make it your sole exercise thing that you do, because it'll just burn you out. And just start eating healthier. I say eating healthier, just like bear in mind what we spoke about today. Is like, figure out, are you a data person or are you a habit-based person? What do you prefer? Either way, it works. There's a way and a means to help you get to where you want to get to. Just understand that, learn the fundamentals of fitness, which is WWS. Then learn the fundamentals of nutrition. Even if you're scared about counting calories, it's a good idea to work out what your maintenance calories are. Just have a rough idea in your head. Doesn't mean you have to track, doesn't mean you have to follow them at all, but it's a good idea. Don't use any of those fancy calculators you see online, because most of them are wrong. I promise you this now. They are so far wrong, you wouldn't believe it. But yeah, just bear that in mind, and then choose the option that's best for you. But like I said, it's all about living better, living longer, and having fun. And if you're not having fun with fitness, you're never going to stick to anything. And if it's miserable, no one wants to do anything that's miserable for the time, except for bodybuilders who they're being miserable for a reason. They want to get to that tiny percent. They want to get a little budgie smuggler on stage. And
I really like that. I really like the kind of the idea of taking a path and splitting, and taking a path and splitting, and having that that flexibility and that not one size fits all approach, and even looking at the where people are starting from and their kind of preferences and their emotional kind of state at the time, and if they're a data person, if they're not a data person. I think that's fantastic. Yeah, it's really good. I'm aware of time. I think we'll probably start to wrap up here. And I mean, we've obviously had you on before, and I'm sure we'll have you on again, James.
Anytime.
I think you gave us the gems last time of the 777, the WWS, and you also gave us because another thing that a lot of my members were doing was the walking test that I think you spoke about. Was it what? Remind people about that one.
1.5 miles in 20 minutes.
Yes,
or 2.41 kilometers.
Yeah, and that really, we really had loads of our members really took that on board, and that became quite a big thing within our community.
That's awesome. I keep on going. I promise you that the data behind that is huge. Like it's, you look at everyone thinks it's a fun test, and I can't walk that fast, but you can. I promise you, if you practice it, you can. And you just get back. But it's such an important thing, because it's a huge contributing factor for mortality rates the older you get. Look at the older people get, the slower they walk. And the idea is just keep moving, keep your legs turning over as fast as they like Speedy Gonzalez style. Like, you get your feet going as fast as you possibly can, and work on it. But yeah, it's one of those frequently asked questions we get as well. Like, I can't walk 1.5 miles. I've tried it. It's impossible. It's not impossible. I promise you, we have people in their late 50s doing it, and early 60s. Anyone can do it.
And
you watch anyone walking around the streets of London, they can do it.
Yep.
They're constantly on the right, I've got to get there and I've got to get there now. They're probably stressed as well, but
Yeah.
most of them can do it. They can do it. Anyone can do it.
And I think
You've met me, haven't you?
and I think as well, James, from this one, I really love that 180. Sorry, not 180. Your height. I wrote down 180 because I'm about 180, I think.
Brilliant.
But yeah, your height minus. Was it minus 100 for men, minus 110 for women?
Yeah.
To give you an approximate idea of your weight in kilos.
Yeah, and it works for James, I know you're into boxing, so like take Floyd Mayweather. He's 173. He boxes 68 kilos.
Yeah.
Right. Conor McGregor 175. His weight cut was 69 to 70. That little things like that. Just examples from MMA. But you look at tennis. You look at all the stars there. Cyclists. Some of the cyclists, if you've got track cyclists, you've got the massive quads, like quadzillas. Don't count them because it's a sport-specific thing. But you look at Lance Armstrong. Can we mention Lance Armstrong because he's a druggie?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But and I mean, all
is
these...
he not like a couple of not kilograms? What would you call a couple of grams lighter? Because he's
exactly.
But yeah, I mean I know that people listening to this will be doing that and working that out for themselves. So that's a great take home.
But also, so just to touch on that thing as well, for a lot of people out there who are going to listen to this and they're going to realize they don't fit nowhere near that number, one or two things will happen. One, they'll go, holy shit, I'm really overweight, I need to do something about it, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then the other thing will be, that's bullshit. That's not true. All right? Please take data greater than feelings. It's really important. Like just sit about it and think about it a little bit, and it's a good way to do it. So I appreciate there's two ways people will take that. Like, oh nah, don't like it. But when you look at things around, particularly when it comes to athletes and sports and being healthy, it's a good way to look at it.
No, I love it. Pete, do you have anything to say or any questions or anything for James while we wrap up?
I've got loads of stuff. I've written loads of stuff down, but you could go on forever about this. But the big thing, so people use the thing about when people want to lose weight is they don't know where they should be. Nobody knows where they should be, and people will be like, BMI isn't a great example. So that what James just said, that height minus 100 is really good because that gives you a benchmark of where you should be, but where's a healthy
a kind of a ballpark
range. It's a 10 kilo buffer as well. Like I'm not like.
But I love it because there isn't actually anywhere that says what weight should you be. People have an idea of what weight they should be, but it's just arbitrary, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And then the other thing was the counting calories. All these calculators that are out there, you can do it online and all that, but people tend to overestimate how active they are, or underestimate how active they are, and have too few calories, which is probably what women do, and blokes probably estimate that they're some sort of athlete and doing loads of exercise because they walk to the car in the morning. But the trial and error thing on that, I think, is brilliant because it's like how many calories are you eating now? Just track it. Don't even change anything. How many are you eating now?
Honestly, it's crazy.
Are you putting weight on? It's too many. How fast are you putting weight on? Knock a few off. Are you still putting weight on? Knock a few off. It might take you a month to work it out, but then at least you know.
But that's the most important thing. That you just said it's the month. It takes 4 weeks minimum to do it because you're getting a good insight into people's daily lives. And for people out there who really want to know how we calculate it, we use the Muller equation. We find the Muller equation is the best way we guess work, as in do things.
How many fruit corners you eat?
Yeah.
What's a bit in your way?
Yeah, fruit corners. Yeah, that's great. That's a bit slow to corner. We use the Muller equation, and then they have the different.
Doesn't Muller equation mean something different in Newcastle?
Hey, probably.
Hey. And then we have from the activity level on that, we start. Most people, everyday people over 30, they are starting on light activity, right? Not moderate, where people think you should start off with. Light activity. You have sedentary, light active, moderate, very active, and extreme activity, right? As an idea, like me, I am training in the gym 5 days a week, 6 days a week. I'm playing cricket 4 to 7 times a week. Right, I'm cycling in and around Cardiff all the time. My steps are over 15,000. I'm at moderate activity. For whatever reason, that is my baseline maintenance level, right? It should theoretically be extreme, but it's not. It's by trial and error, knowing it's moderate, okay? Some people will differ, but we always start off at light activity because that's where we find a good proportion of people are at. To be right, and just to give people ideas and numbers. So my maintenance calorie level, right, is 2,650 calories. That's my maintenance level, right, for what I'm doing most times. If I want to go into a deficit, I go down to 2,050. Right? That's the difference I work with to give people ideas. But yeah, maintenance for a month is the most important thing I can share with people here. And look at it the long term. Don't think about your 30-day cleanse, 30-day maintenance. How much are you eating over the course of a month?
And Mr. Paul Bassett, do you have any questions or any final thoughts?
It's surprising how much you need to eat, really, because I mean, I was working with Chris Lowe. We had him on as a guest. I think probably a couple of episodes after you, James. And my weight loss calories were 3,200. And my maintenance was about 3,600, 700. And I lost probably about just under half a kilo a week for, maybe 2 months on that 3,200. And it's surprising how much you need to eat if you are very active. But now it's much less because I'm not quite as active at the moment. But I like you, I always think that people should start on the side of light activity, because we can certainly think, I burnt 700 calories in this workout today. I doubt that's the case. But I've done that 1.5 mile thing. It's great. A lot of my clients did it. I thought it would be not easy. I thought, because I did so much kind of cardio, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I got halfway through and I thought, I'm going a bit slow here. I need to pick up the pace a bit. And then there's that panic as I got closer and closer to 20 minutes that I wasn't going to be able to post the time. And then I realized I was walking uphill as well. So it actually killed me near the end. But it was it's a good test. And I had a lot of clients do it. And I say they enjoyed it, but they certainly felt a sense of achievement, the ones that got it.
Well, if you want to go to the next test, if the next level, it's 3 miles in an hour.
Oh.
3 miles? It's 4.
Yeah.
No, it's 4 miles an hour because you got double. It's 4 miles in an hour. Sorry, my bad. So you want to get 60 minutes, it's 4 miles. Once you can do 4 miles in an hour, you can then start adding 5% of your body weight. So ideally, if you want to go up the levels, again, it's different levels all the way up for people who want to get there. So you hit your first goal, 1.5 miles in 20 minutes. Next goal is 4 miles in an hour. Then when people are at 4 miles, you can add 5% of your body weight and keep going until you can get to about 20% body weight. And I promise you, if you put somebody with 20% body weight on, do 4 miles an hour, they are a machine.
Yeah. Also, I can attest for this because I did a 100-mile walk a couple of weeks ago and it was awful. I don't recommend it. However, if you want to lose 2 kilos, do that. I lost 2 kilos in like a day and a half.
Yeah.
And I lost the will to live as well. But anyway.
Would that count as light or high activity?
But no, guys, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So James, if people want to find out more about you, want to find out about Strength Matters, want to kind of follow what you're doing, keep up to date with all your latest thinking and your latest protocols and output and content and things, what's the best way for them to do that?
Cool. Very simply, if they follow me and see all me playing cricket, snowboarding, running, mountains, sort of stuff, at James Breese on Instagram, that's the easiest way. Strength Matters, at Strength Matters, if you want to see what we're doing as a company and see all the stuff here. But I keep saying to people, if you honestly want to see our exact thinkings now, like I've literally put it all into the magazine. Like it's, this is the running magazine, for example, every protocol that we do is all the in-depth stuff. That's why I spent most of my time writing and publishing in there. So if they want to get to know more about that, just go to Strength Matters, I think, free magazines or like on the website. I think it costs like a couple of pounds and I'll ship you 3 magazines for free just to have a read and have a look. So have a look at that.
I get the magazines every month. They're fantastic. And I am a bit behind reading them though, but I've got a holiday in a few weeks and I usually kind of pack them and take them away when on holiday when I know I'm going to have some good reading time and sit down and read them. So no, that's great. So thanks so much, James, for coming back on again. We will be back next week where we have Val Craft back on. and Diane Udale, who was Jet from Gladiators back in the 90s.
I saw that. Like, how did you get Jet back on? She was the one I so fancied her back in the day. She was my one.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit weird next week.
So Val and Diane will be on with us next week. We've got some great guests. We've got Stu McGill coming on from Dr. Stu McGill from up in Canada. Coming on. We're going to have, hopefully, we'll get some other great guests on leading up to our 1-year birthday. But please do make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, share. If you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to leave reviews, please leave a review for us. And remember the Health Oddity Facebook group, which you can find if you just search the group, or there'll be a link in the show notes here somewhere. Click on that and join us in the Facebook group to join the conversation, and we can converse with you in there. So, thanks very much to Mr. Peter Lance. Say goodbye, Peter.
Ta-ra. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you all.
Say goodbye, Mr. Paul Bassett.
Goodbye.
and say goodbye, Mr. James Breese.
Cheers, guys. Thanks so much.
Lovely. Thank you, guys. We'll see you all next week. Take care.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favourite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com, or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.